Hello, everybody. This is Jen Maleka, and we've got the crew here, Reed Davis, Dr. Al Weinstein, and some of our FDNs in our tribe. We got Brendan, who is in charge of our AFDNP, which is our association, and Amanda, who's one of our superstar FDN practitioners. So we're really excited to be here with you guys today. We had a great webinar on Tuesday all about how to get real results for your clients and yourself. And so today we're going to primarily focus on a live discussion and kind of interaction Q&A session with all of you that are on the line with us. So I see a bunch of people that are hopping on. We're really excited to have you, Emily and Eva and Jeremy and Lauren and Lynn, and the list goes on and on. So we are going to kick it off and just talk a little bit about how we got started with FDN, each one of us, and share with you our unique stories a little bit. And you guys can start typing in your questions into the control panel there on the GoToWebinar. But we would love to even bring some of you on live with us to have that interactive discussion and ask your questions. So if you'd like to ask a live question, you can go ahead and raise your hand on the control panel, and then I'll unmute you to come on with us. So let's go ahead and get it kicked off here, Reed, and we're going to start with you. I think you're looking for your slide there,
Okay.
but let's have you just tell the, I'm sure some of the people on the line maybe heard this, but just for anybody who hasn't heard it before, like tell us a little bit about the background and how what you were doing before you were our fearless leader in FDN and how you came to start FDN, like how that evolved.
Okay, I'm really happy to do that. And welcome everybody, and thanks to the crew for being here with us again. And I'm unashamedly actively recruiting for the FDN course and community because we're doing such important work, and it's such a wonderful growing organization. I feel truly, truly honored, blessed, and happy that it's grown so nicely. And that the mission was to originally, even when I first started 20 years ago, Jen, once I got into the clinic, working in the clinic, it became to educate as many people as possible how to get healthy, get well, and stay well naturally, so that they in turn could go educate others. That's been the mission. So I came to that via the environmental field. I was in basically recycling, saving the planet. I was an environmental paralegal. I did lobbying in Sacramento, California for the recycling industry, because that's how you get people to clean up the planet, is you pay them for taking the crap out of the environment. So we were doing that and saving the birds and bees and plants and trees. And studying the environment made me start to wonder, eventually, what's it doing to people? And so just kind of the way the planets align and everything, I left that job that I had in the environmental area and went right to work for a clinic doing wellness programs. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I just knew I want to do wellness. So instead of cleaning up the planet, clean up people. Now, I didn't know much about it, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I started working as the general manager of a clinic, helping it to grow and getting customers and things. And then the owner, Dr. Leilani Vidal, she asked me if I wanted to go to this nutrition course with her. She was getting her diplomate in nutrition and said that as her assistant that I could go. I said, okay. I went. I loved it. I literally loved learning about nutrition and helping people. And I went to work in her clinic doing that. I was already there, of course, again, managing the place. But I started working with people, and long story short, I fell in love with the clinical side, with being with people, finding out what their problems are, and seeing, well, what are we going to do to fix it? Let's fix it. And the one thing that really bothered me a lot, was that they'd all seen 8 people already. I did not understand at the time what that was about. Like, what do you mean you've been to 8 people or 5 people or 10 people or more? And they'd spent a lot of money and they weren't well yet. And that really just bugged the crap out of me. And I decided my mission would be to be the last person they need to see. Again, not knowing much more than the nutritional therapy that I've been studying with Dr. Vidal. And by the way, she allowed me to apply that in her office on all her patients. and there was other doctors there and other people to network with and different things we were doing. So again, it just kind of, I was like you guys. I was like every health coach, every person who wants to be a do-gooder and help other people, and wondering how am I going to do this thing. So really, really, really fortunately, I met, besides the people teaching this nutrition course, which wasn't enough, I met really smart doctors, like some true alternative medicine gurus of the day. And I went and watched them. I listened to them. I called them on the phone, and then I started running lab work. So in the course of 8, 9, 10 years, I ran 10,000 labs on thousands of people. Along with the mentoring that I was receiving, I became a mentor myself for other practitioners, and I was asked to start teaching. So I started 10 years ago, the FDN course. And that's how I got into it. And everything that I learned over those 10 years, plus what I've learned since, is in the current course. And I just want to say one last thing, is that on the screen right now is pretty much the entire philosophy. We have, as health coaches, first of all, we don't want to diagnose and treat disease. We want to figure out what's wrong and fix it. That's a completely different animal. And there's some very key slides in what we went over the other day. This is just one I picked to say, look, set yourself free. Know that you can have a really good positive effect on every person that comes your way when you know what steps to take. Realize first that symptoms don't matter. We're not going to chase those. The root cause may never be known. There isn't enough labs. You could run 25 labs on a person and really never figure out the exact root cause, but that's okay. You can really be far away, undetectable, but that doesn't matter either. We've learned that we can have a positive effect upon it when you know what steps to take. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much why I feel so confident that everyone could learn to do this. They could do it on themselves. They could do it on their family, which are the most important things you could do. And then you can go help others.
I love that, Reed. I mean, one thing that's so inspiring about your story is the fact that you came from a completely different background and you have, cultivated all of this knowledge and this expertise, and you've taught thousands of other health coaches or personal trainers or nutritionists the same methodology, and it proves to be working, as we're going to talk about today in each one of our practices or businesses that we're utilizing. And so I know we're going to dive into that a little bit more. I just want to remind everybody that's jumped on the call with us here that's new that you guys can go ahead and type your questions in the control panel, or there'll be an opportunity to come on live and talk with us. So if you want to talk live with us, go ahead and raise your hand. So while we kind of kick this off, I'm going to go over to Dr. Al, because Dr. Al's been around with FDN since almost the beginning, I would say. I think, Dr. Al, you've been helping us to grow the community. You're an FDN yourself. You've gone through the course twice, right?
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about, yeah, slow learner. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to get involved with FDN, and how it's, learning the FDN philosophy and how Reed's approach has changed your perspective and how you work with people.
Sure. Well, I started practicing as a chiropractor 35 years ago, and I was and am addicted to learning. I have a diplomate in neurology, a diplomate in applied kinesiology. I actually studied with George Goodhart himself. I have a diplomate in exercise rehabilitation. I actually am a certified independent medical examiner, and I wrote a number of the guidelines for rehab in the country that most clinics follow. And I did functional medicine, or so-called functional medicine, before anyone ever heard the term functional medicine. And what I realized was, and I'm going to be a little blunt, but because it's true, I studied with, really, as Reed said, at the time, the best of the best. And this is what I learned, that a good majority of the people only share with you their success stories. They don't share their failure stories. And I also learned that a lot of times things that they claimed worked didn't necessarily work. And I studied with everyone. I studied from a neurology diplomate. I took that course 3 times. It was 3 years each time. That was 9 years. And I have a great source of knowledge, and I was somebody that other physicians came to ask advice over all the years of what I learned. And what I learned is no one really understood how to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Everyone, whether you are in the alternative space, whether you are in the allopathic space, everyone treats every part of the body segmentally. In other words, they don't look for how it affects the whole body. They look for their particular focus, and they try to deal with, and almost everybody does, whether you are alternative or not, the person's symptom. And people who were in the early phases of functional medicine took the laboratory results to be the roadmap of what you need to fix, without recognizing that the lab results were also a symptom of what the underlying problem was. And Reed and I have I've been with Reed about 10 years, I think it is now. And after 25 years of practice, I've learned a couple of important lessons. Number one is there's no correlation between how much knowledge you have and how successful you are. I know some really mediocre clinicians that are hugely successful, and I know a bunch of very bright clinicians that are starving to death. So that was rule number one. Number two, I also learned that more knowledge, if it's not the right knowledge, doesn't allow you to get more people better. You know, in order for you to get that remaining 20%, I believe anyone could fix 80% of the population, but the remaining 20% takes a lot of skills. And fortunately and unfortunately, that 20% is going to knock on your door. And if you don't have those skills to deal with that 20%, as Reed said during the, and we talked about during the event, you're going to keep those people, you're going to be another spoke in that wheel of doctors and practitioners that they go to see. And I had all this knowledge, but I didn't have my arms wrapped around how to put it together in one uniform protocols that fix patients. And when I met Reed and he started teaching about FDN, all of a sudden, all the pieces of the puzzle no longer was segmented. And now you are able to investigate all these underlying, what he calls metabolic chaos, and come up with an individualized treatment program that changed people's lives. And I felt for 35 years, when someone came to me that was willing to pay me, it was my obligation to help those people, not to jerk them around, spend a lot of their money like everyone else did, and then they would eventually divorce me before I divorced them. And FDN was that solution for me. So I figured if once was good, I'd take it twice.
You know, I love that you bring up that fact of like, you know, me divorce that like them before they divorced me. I can't, you know, I recall so many conversations that I've had with clients along the way as a personal trainer, back when I was a personal trainer, and they would come to me because they would say, well, I'm not getting results with my other personal trainer, so I want to try you, but I don't know how to break up with my personal trainer, like those awkward. And I think there's so many people that get stuck in that where they continue to see a practitioner even though they're, or a health professional of some sort, and they're not getting results, but because they feel obligated to continue working with them, when really you know, our clients and people in general just deserve, you know, better and more than that. They do deserve to have somebody that looks at them as like a whole person. So thank you for sharing those insights with us.
Sure.
And just as a reminder, you guys can type in your questions, anything that you have about FDN, about the course, anything that you've seen from us, feel free to type those questions in. And I'm going to turn to Brendan. Brendan is such a phenomenal add to our team and our community. He brings like the funny and the insights and the knowledge and the fitness and all of it together. So Brendan, tell our crew here How does it you came to get involved with FDN? I want to hear a little bit about what you were doing beforehand, and what was your light bulb moment where you just knew that you had to have this course?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really happy to be here. And, honestly, I'm just kind of a kid in a candy shop living the dream because, I started my career when I was 19 as a personal trainer and nutritionist. Always very passionate about health and fitness and helping people, achieve the best quality of life possible. And, anybody that's been in the fitness industry or nutrition coaching or whatever, you have somebody coming to you and trusting that they're able to trust you to reach that next level of their life and earn a higher quality of life. And obviously, with fitness and nutrition, it's, it's a crapshoot. I can tell you how to exercise. I can tell you some basics about general eating, and it's just all so surface level. And as we all know, the bioindividuality, like no two humans are the same, and there's so many underlying physiological mechanisms at play. So to me, I was fortunate enough to get exposed to lab testing early, like at the very beginning of my career, because the company I had was pretty forward thinking. They offered lab testing on top of personal training, VO2 testing, a very science-based company. Still a big fan of that company for the most part, but it was really just this attraction to the idea of like, wait a second, I can collect objective data about this unique organism and soul in front of me and be able to navigate those complexities. And there's no subjectivity to it. It is we measure, we apply a protocol, we monitor. And of course, there's the coaching side of it, which is more psychological, but nonetheless, we're actually using objective data. Whereas, the whole health and fitness industry is just saturated with, biohackers and trainers and nutritionists claiming to have that magic pill. And as we all should know, there isn't one. The only magic pill is when you apply the real science of how does my body work? How does this client's body work? Where are they at right now? And how can I keep that needle moving in the right direction? So I actually went back to school while working full time to study something, dietetics, naturopathic medicine, maybe go to medical school. I was just trying to figure out how do I get to that point where I can, run the lab testing, use objective data to propel my client to the quality of life they deserve. And the typical university model just did not make sense to me. And honestly, I'll tell you guys right now, I'm deep enough into this industry to know they don't teach this stuff in universities. If they did, I would have done it. They don't. The best functional medicine, integrative clinicians, whatever you want to call all that, they don't learn those skills in universities. They are learning it out in the field. And that's what I love about FDN is I found it as like, this is a exclusive training in the field that gives you the latest and greatest knowledge. And it's not just the course, it's the community. We are all like-minded, amazing, altruistic, empathetic, heal the planet go-getters that are looking to feed off one another and utilize the very best cutting edge science. It's an amazing thing. I can't think of anything better to do with my life. So that's what's funny. I signed up for the course. I had a lot of other credentials before, went through the course in 2 months, got hired on within 6, within 2 years, I'm, the AFDNP director, and it's just, I'm living the dream. And FDN in a lot of ways kind of saved my life on a literal and, metaphorical professional level. So it's just been a dream ride. And I am very passionate about, spreading the word because like, this is the best damn thing you could ever find. It's magical. So yeah, I could go on and on, but.
Thanks.
I know.
Let me jump in. So I'm impressed with, first of all, thanks to Dr. L. Yeah, it's been 10 years and we've been good buddies, and we've got a lot of people on this bandwagon. And then people like Brendan have come along who are the young Turks. We're like the old guys, had our gurus and now, and I don't like to be called a guru. I hate that term, but guide, I love guiding, or providing what knowledge and systems that we developed with our guides. And now we become guides so the people can go out there and be the hero in their communities and stuff and do what they love doing and get paid to do it. And it's just, it just really is remarkable. And Brendan, you've earned every step of the way. No one has It's not a gift, you know. Like the other day, someone put their picture of their certificate of completion on the internet, and I said, "Well, one thing we know is that you earned it because we sure don't give those away."
Hmm.
And everyone says that it's a very robust course. You know, the fact that you got through it in 2 months is a testament to your tenacity, veracity, and integrity. You know that you sucked it up with a spoon. Most people, to be honest, are taking 6 to 8 months, but it depends on the person.
Mhm.
So thanks very much for your contribution.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Happy
Brendan, I
to
want
be
to go
here.
back and ask you because, I have a fitness background myself, and I'm just curious from your perspective, getting your hands on the lab testing and being able to run it yourself as a, kind of a fitness professional, that's where you came from into this. What is it that, how does running labs or how has running labs really changed the way that you look at either a person's body or that you put together their protocols? I think about when I was a personal trainer, I was reading about diet programs and I was just kind of blindly recommending what I thought was going to work for people, taking a shot in the dark, like, oh, well, we tried high carbs, that didn't work, so let's go low
Hmm.
carb, and
Hmm.
let's do HIIT training versus let's do Olympic lifting. And I know the insights that the lab tests have given me, but I'm just curious if you could share with the audience from your perspective, like, how has it really altered that for you? Like, what are you able to see or do now differently that you weren't able to do before?
Yeah, I mean, it's just almost like not even comparable. Don't get me wrong, there's a whole spectrum. You need professionals that can react to disease with artificial intervention, cut you open and whatever. You need people that can recommend generic, nutrition strategies and whatever. But the fitness professional industry, which I'm still very deep in, and I know inside and out, there's all sorts of modalities that are trying to be able to cater the program to a more scientific level, like biosignature is a great example where, all right, let's test your body fat, and based on the distribution of how your fat is distributed, we can make some subjective inferences as to what your hormones might be doing. But it's just like it's such a it's just such a weak premise. Like,
Hmm.
really, we're going to base in a highly individualized program off body fat distribution? Like, it's not that there's no merit to it, but it's just so weak in comparison to objective data that you're getting from a lab that isn't even related to your business. There's no economic influence. It's just, well, here's a lab, we offer data. What you do with that data is up to you. And the FDN methodology is learning, what do we do with that data to give this person a program that is perfectly catered. And I just, as a random example, because ketogenic is all the rage, right? And it's like, well, we tried carb cycling, we tried intermittent fasting, let's try keto, and then we're going to try vegan. It's just, they're
Mm.
just pulling it out of nowhere, and they
Mm.
have nothing to base it off. Whereas, you run the testing, you have somebody with an H. pylori infection in their gut and you put them on a keto diet, they're incapable of digesting fat because of the bacteria in the gut. But, unless you study this stuff, you have no clue, and you're
Hmm.
just shooting in the dark. And so I love trainers and nutrition coaches, and we very much need those. I'm still well, I don't offer those, but yeah, without that deeper layer of investigation, it's just gonna ever be generic recommendations that aren't
Exactly.
individualized, and you have
Yeah.
no way of measuring your success.
Like I always like to say that it's not the diet or the exercise plan that didn't work, it's something that's going on underneath the hood,
Totally.
right? Because the actual philosophies behind some of these diets and things like that is pretty
Yeah.
good. It's just that when it's not working for you, there's something going on underneath the hood, the metabolic chaos that we talk about.
Right.
There's hormone imbalances, poor digestion, but unless you're running lab testing, you can't really see what's going on. And I'm
Right.
sure I want to have Amanda jump in here because she's coming in with a totally different type of background. And Amanda's a little bit of a new kid on the block. She graduated from FDN about a year ago. And her business, I've seen her just take off online on Instagram and doing all the great things that she is doing. So I'm going to tell the audience a little bit about who you are and how you got into FDN. And again, you guys, you can type in your questions or raise your hand. We're going to bring you on live here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, so I actually come from a clinical background. I'm a registered dietitian, and when I first graduated just like many dietitians, I just was working in hospital settings, and outpatient was like my last one. And I always knew like I wanted a more functional perspective. And even when I was in school to be an RD, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to go back and like maybe get my master's in like functional medicine or something. So I always knew it was there, but I didn't realize the value of labs until even in like a hospital or a clinic, like you're still as a dietitian like working with doctors. And I was the one reviewing a lot of the blood work with the patients, because it's like you have to know what it means. So I've like been familiar with labs for a long time, but I never had the capability to order my own. And that was really what brought me to FDN, because I worked in the clinical setting to gain experience, get skills. I went to school and paid a lot of money for it, so I was like, I'm going to put it to use. But I always knew that I wanted to like have my own business and work one-on-one with people. And when I started to try to do that, I just kind of kept hitting roadblocks. And you can only do so much with nutrition and exercise. I feel like we've talked about that a lot. Even like stress management, like that is huge. There's so many lifestyle changes that you can make, and that FDN does definitely address, but that only takes you so far. And I started to, work with women and started to think about, oh, if I only could look at like what their hormones would look like, because I would get like blood tests from their doctor or something, or I'd always be asking their doctor, it's good, like they recognize that I am an RD, so it's like I have some authority, but they didn't order the kind of tests that I wanted. Like everything was just so not like working for me. And I was like, I wanted to be able to order my own labs. Like I wanted to have that freedom. And that's why, like, much like Brendan, I was looking at going to naturopathic school or something where I'm like, I need to get my PhD so that I can just have those letters after my name and have the ability to order lab work. But just like with my living situation, my husband in the military, like it wasn't realistic. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I found FDN, and I was like, wow, this is like literally the perfect setup if I can make this work. And just, the whole idea of I wanted to learn not just like how to order the labs and have the ability, but I wanted to understand them and how they work together, how you could take different cases and scenarios and like how you would actually like work with that type of client. And that was probably my favorite part of the training, is like, the different scenarios that you get and the clients that, you're doing the mock sessions for. I mean, I learned a lot, and I feel like it's something that I try to share with other dietitians and nutritionists, because I'm like, this can help you take your practice to the next level.
Definitely. So there's a couple things about your story that I think I just really want to point out and I think are unique, is that one is that FDN has given you so much freedom in a couple different ways. Like you were kind of limited as a clinical RD, like working in a clinic, you weren't able to order your own lab tests. You were limited by working through that, kind of environment in one way. And then also, so FDN's giving you the freedoms to order your own labs, and it's also giving you this freedom now where you work from home. I see you travel all over with your husband. You guys are always road tripping or doing something, and you just take your practice with you. And Brendan, you're the same way. I see you all over the place. I'm the same way too. I mean, it's just so the audience knows, all of us are in different states coming into this call with you guys today. And I am in San Diego, California, and I have clients that are in Australia, in Europe, in Canada, like all over the world, because FDN gives us this, like, the freedom to work, in the setting that we want to work, and to really be able to help people in the way that we want to help people. And the mentorship is huge. Brendan does some of our mentorship as well. I've been an FDN myself. I graduated from the course in 2012, so I'm kind of old, 6 years going. And, people always ask, well, how are you able to order labs? So I see Carrie's actually asking us a question on here. She says, are you able to order labs from anywhere, or do you have a special lab for FDNPs? And, the answer to that question is that the FDN certification is recognized by some lab companies directly, so you can have accounts with them. But one of the most valuable aspects about our program is our medical director program. And so through FDN, through the medical director program, we're able to access, I think I counted it up recently, Reed, and it's like over 75 to 100 different labs or something like that. We've just been expanding the medical director program like crazy lately to offer the latest and greatest, like the wheat zoomer and the Dutch test and all these things that are coming out. And so there's the value of being able to access the labs, but the mentorship is also so incredibly valued. So what I was getting to say is that I've been an FDN for 6 years and I still access the mentors all the time. So every time I will order a test through the medical director program, you get access to our mentors to go over the results with you. And I love that because it's one of the ways that we, our mentors are staying on top of changes in the lab work and what's happening on the ground floor of everything. And that's how I get to absorb that information. Plus, it's like a second set of eyes on my client's case so that I'm not missing anything. And when you go through the course, you have a mentor that works with you. So part of going through the course is that you have to actually run some of the labs on yourself, which is so incredibly eye-opening. It opened up my eyes to some of the health issues that I was having. And then the mentors, when they're working with you, it's like practical exercise. So you get to play the role of the client and see what it's like to be on the client side. And then at some point later in the course, you get to be kind of the practitioner, and the mentor plays kind of the role of the client. You have to go through a verbal final, basically, where you're showing that you've actually learned the content. And there's not many courses out there that give you that opportunity to do the practical application or that have the mentorship that we have. And Brendan, you touched on our community earlier, and that's also something that is extremely valuable to me personally, is that when I started as an FDN, it was scary to go out there and start my business, and I lacked confidence, or I needed reassurance, and I knew that I just could lean on my community. Like, there's a collective knowledge in our community. We have over 3,000 trainees that have gone through the course in over 50 different countries. And so no matter what tough case I come across, I have a huge community that I can tap into. Like, we have private Facebook groups for our communities where everybody's kind of chiming in on your cases and helping you out. And I think that that's huge. It's just like this huge pot of collective knowledge that you get to tap into, because it's impossible for you to read every book, article, study out there that's on the internet or encounter any case, but it's likely that somebody in our community has, and they, with that knowledge, you can take that and then apply it through our FDN philosophy and help somebody really get better. So I'd love to see some more questions come in from you guys, and see if there's anybody that wants to come on live with us. Go ahead and raise your hands. We're ready to answer your questions. So Carrie, thank you for asking that question. If you guys have follow-up questions, please let us know.
Let me follow up on that just for a second. Since this is a Q&A, we would like to answer your questions. You got to wonder something, because you're hanging in here. We have a lot of people watching, and maybe they're just waiting for someone else to ask the question. So get your question answered. And, FDN is not right for everybody. And I wouldn't want you to sign up if you weren't right for it. I think it's pretty universal. Everyone wants to get better. Everyone wants to improve their own health. We're certainly, the 5 people you see on your screen are health seekers, and we want the best for ourselves and the best for the people that we serve too. So so make sure it's what you want to do, or go sign up, or don't. But if you don't ask questions, then you really won't know. So is it for you? I don't know if that's what you're thinking. But so please ask. Now, I just wanted to follow up on Amanda. Thank you so much for being here and being such a sincere FDNer. And that just seems to be what we attract, is people like you, do-gooders who also, they want to do this for a living. They understand the professionalism. So you could come and take the FDN course just for your own health and your family's health. And that's fantastic, and we will work with you just the same. But people either turn it into a business, or they work it into their business real easily. Like Dr. Al said, here's a guy who's been practicing even before they called it functional medicine. I think it was called quackery back then. But
it was actually called voodoo.
Yeah, it was voodoo. So but you know what? just if again, I don't want to be considered a guru. You guys are the heroes. I had my guides at the time, and now we're working collectively to continue to guide, provide guidance, and to do what we do on our end, which is stay abreast of all the latest and greatest, and we have robust research and development and things like that. But it's really important to remember this: it's not just the labs. Anyone can run lab work these days. 10 years ago when I started this, we were just about the first direct-to-consumer program that worked with labs to get the labs into the hands of the consumer or the public who really needed to be tested, but there wasn't enough practitioners to go around. That's why the labs like us, and they have a tremendous respect for FDN. And we have 2 doctors that we work with that will basically authorize those people to get the labs. And you as the health coach are in the middle. So you're not ordering the labs. If someone says to you, this is a question we get, how can I order a lab so I'm not a licensed physician? Well, you can just expedite your client getting the lab, the lab test kit from the lab, and then you get to look at the results, but you're not ordering it. So we have 2 doctors we work with, and that's how that works. And then not only that, but it's how you interpret it. We don't look to diagnose or treat like physicians. So we aren't just trying to put a tool in your hand so you can be like them. We don't want to be like them. We want to just look, like it says on the screen right here, we identify the healing opportunities. I'm not sure if my screen's coming out right.
It is.
Okay, so run functional lab assessments to identify malfunction and healing opportunities. That is not the same thing as diagnosing and treating disease. We're actually looking for what's wrong. And like Dr. Al said, he'd been doing this for 25 years, and then guess what? All of a sudden he runs into this system that to me was just very logical. Now, I'm a good organizer. I'm also very good at recognizing patterns. That was the strength that I brought to this group of, alternative. They're considered the founders of functional medicine, but they weren't organized. They were just, one's working on this area, one's working on the gut, one's working on the hormones, one's working on whatever, and I just said, I want to be able to do it all, work in the clinic, help every person that walks in with their health problems. So how can we put it together? So I recognize patterns, and I am a good systematizer. And I found that if you run labs in these areas, hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, mostly, just a couple labs, you just said we have how many labs? Like 50, 60?
More than that. It's like 75 the other day when I counted it.
And the reason is because people want to run other labs, and so, we can. But they've already gone through this work. I want to guarantee you that those people aren't just saying, I want to run a SIRS test, or I want to run, a mold toxicity urine test or something. No, they've already got that person on a holistic grounding program based on the DRESS system. They've already done the hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification work. Because if you don't lay that in, then this other stuff is just shotgun approach. You're just guessing. Oh, it might be this and it might be that. The whole point of FDN is to run the basics, and that gets, like Dr. Al said, 80% of the people better. Their problems go away. Anything you can mention that's stress related, common things: sinuses, allergies, moodiness, irritability, tiredness, fatigue, digestive problems, aches and pains, irritable bowel, all this stuff goes away. Fibromyalgia goes away when you just do the basic stuff. Mm-hmm. The reason we have the MDP and we have all the consulting, like Jen said, is for the troubleshooting on the rest of them. Like Dr. Al said, well, how do you handle the 20%? Well, first of all, you do what gets 80% of them better. Then you can do some of that other stuff. And that all came after I designed the course, Jen, and everybody knows it. Like I built the course on running basically five labs: saliva, mm-hmm. urine, blood, and stool. That's all the bodily fluids you can get besides sweat. And we haven't found a good test for sweat. We'd be doing that too. No, there's also hair, and we do that. But what I'm saying is, you give me some saliva, blood, urine, stool, I'm going to fix 80% of the people. And then with the the advanced, the more sort of, then you can go into those other areas.
Right.
But I don't want someone really signing up just for access to the labs. You want to get educated and become one of us and practice in a way that won't get you in trouble and will make sure that your client gets the ultimate benefit.
Yep. So we have some questions that are coming in. I want to try and get some of these people to come on live with us. So Rhonda, I saw your question. I want to try and bring you on live. So I'm going to unmute you here in just a second, but I'll give you a minute, a second to get prepared for that if we can bring you on live. And I just want to say that, you know, in my practice, I still run the 5 foundational labs, and I have some really complicated cases that come to me, people who come to me that say that they could only eat 6 foods because they're reactive to everything else. And running those 5 labs and doing the foundations of FDN, that girl went from eating only 6 foods to even eating 24 foods in a matter of 2 months. Or my client that I just had this morning that has MS, and she's seen every specialist, tried every trial drug that's out there, and nothing worked with her. And we ran 5 labs. And today, after working together with 4 months, she's pain-free. She's sleeping through the night. She has energy like she's never had before. She's achieving everything that she wanted in her life. And by the way, she's 65. You know, most people would say that at that point in their life, what's the point? But she's 65 and living her best life at this point in time because she came to work with me.
Dr. Al, I mean, come on. The point is,
Reed, do you remember when you were 65?
Yeah, Medicare. I got a Medicare card.
So I'm going to go ahead and bring Rhonda on here. So Rhonda, I just muted you. Let's see if we can get you talking with us. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you great. So why don't you go ahead and ask your question? Yeah.
No, I really just wanted to know what you're certified as after you finish this program. I might have missed it because I had to go downstairs for a minute.
No, we haven't talked about it yet. So Reed, why don't you fill her in on that?
Well, you're a certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioners with all the rights and benefits of that. And it is something that we care a lot about, that we developed into, that it means something. Now, we're not fully accredited by very many agencies or regulatory bodies or anything like that, but you are certified by me and the crew. I have an amazing qualifications crew that makes sure that you meet all the standards and pass all the tests and quizzes, and including final exam, verbal final, which is a nice practical exercise to go through. And then you're authorized to use our medical director program. And what that means is first of all, there's some vendors, including labs and supplement companies, who don't otherwise give out their accounts. So you have to be certified, and they recognize FDN. They know that we're actually doing the best work, by the way. They love FDNs. And then you get to join the organization that Brendan is running now. Brendan told you he's the director of the Association of FDN Professionals. So that separates kind of the hobbyists who are doing it on themselves and their family and maybe neighbors. They're not really charging a lot of money. They just love doing it. So I call them the hobbyists. Hobbies basically cost you money. Just ask me and Al, because our hobby is motorcycles, and it does nothing but cost you money. It's for all the pleasure you get. But in business, if it's a profession, it makes you money. And that's the difference. That's the distinguishment between a hobby and a profession. So Brendan runs the professional group, and there are hundreds of members who are kick-ass. I'm here to help people, and they do it for a living. And some, like Jen, who's one of the original members, is, I don't even want to tell you the multiple 6-figure business that she has. She's, top of the line. Brendan too. Amanda, I haven't really talked to you about how much business you're doing, but I know that you're making a good living, and you wouldn't be here if you weren't, and speaking up for us and advocating. So we have a group of advocates, and you get to, one part of your certification is you qualify for that. And you'll also have to recertify every 2 years. We're going to expect that you're staying up with the current trends. Now you could take our recertification classes, or you could take others. People turn in all kinds of hours for that they watched a webinar over the weekend, or they attended some functional medicine thingy, whatever it was. So it's tough to finish. It's a robust course. I've had master's and PhD people tell me that this was the most practical thing they ever did, more than their entire master's program or PhD program. This was the stuff. Brendan might call it something else that begins with S, but this is the stuff. And
can I ask a follow-up question to Jen?
yeah, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
So how did you build up your business? Do you work with like a health food store or?
No,
That's a great question. Well, we all do it differently. Me, I'm an independent person. I don't want to work for someone else. I get up in the morning every morning and I work really hard, but I want to be able to take off afternoons or go out to lunch or, take off weekends and work my own time or my own hours. That means you have to learn to set your own wages too. And you get to do that. So I'm very, very independent. And I built up my business by going out and speaking in public. And I talked at libraries, I talked at grocery stores, I talked at children's centers, because we do a lot of work with kids and ADD and ADHD and just all that kind of stuff. Those people clean up faster than you can even imagine, by the way. Kids are wonderful to work with. And so I got out there in the public. Remember, when I started this, there was just pagers. We didn't have cell phones, like hardly anyone had a website. So this is one of the things that bothers me, actually. Now, Dr. L is an absolute master and wizard at internet marketing, and he's our kind of guru for that. But you know what? I built it all up with a pager. If it went off, they had to have a code, or I had to stop it and
those days. Yeah.
And I had to go into McDonald's and put a quarter in the machine, in the phone and call and things like that. But so you can build up a business. And
I'll just chime in here too, Reed, and I want to say that we have a lot of business resources and tools. Like that's part of Brendan, what he runs in AFDNP is making sure that we're providing business trainings and tools for our students in that way. And I'm 100% virtual also, Rhonda. So I work out of my home. I worked in the corporate world for a long time and just like Reed, I want to work for myself. And I started my business by going out and doing some in-person lectures. So like my local Lululemon or yoga class and just kind of building up my email list. And because I was a personal trainer, so back when I went through the course, it was required that you had 2 mock clients, and you can still do that, or they provide you with mock clients that you can do so you can get through the course faster. But I had 2 of my personal training clients that I had them do the lab testing as my mock clients, and they were so blown away by it that that's all it took. So then it just started to spread like wildfire. And even to this day, I do a lot of online stuff. Like I had a crappy website when I started. I have a fancier website now. I do social media and all that. But 95% of my business is word of mouth referral, because it's likely, like if I have a problem, it's likely we all run in the same circle. So it's a law of attraction, right? Like, so somebody that I help, they know somebody that's like them that needs my help too. And that's how how my business has grown really over the years. And it's just like Reed says, I think that the key part of that is because we end the cycle of trial and error. So Reed, his mission was to be the last person that, a last health professional that somebody saw, and to really solve their problems. And based on that, then the referrals just start coming in. And I feel like I am that person for my clients. Like clients will come to me and they'll say, oh my God, the getting the lab results and the comprehensive health building protocol was like Christmas. It's everything that they've been looking for, and nobody's been able to put together the pieces. So it's not that I have like some crazy marketing skills or something. I'm just filling the needs gap and ending the cycle of trial and error as we talk about it. And the clients just keep coming in, and I don't really have to work at it at all anymore, which is awesome. So
I want to add something to what everyone just said. A couple of things. Number one, realize that in this day and age, the biggest marketer for you, believe it or not, is really social proof. And one, you ask, what do you get when you're certified? And one of the things that you get is the ability to use the tools and to really promote yourself as an FDN client. And thousands and thousands and thousands of people know that terminology. So it's no longer, after all these years, an unknown entity. So you say you're an FDNer, you can't use the Dress for Success program, you can't do any of the things unless you're certified as an FDNer. So the certification, on one hand, besides the knowledge, is really the ability to be able to promote yourself as something that's well known. But from the social proof standpoint, I'm going to give you one quick story, very, very quickly, because I know there's a lot of other people that have questions, and that is, someone came to see me that had a weight problem. And prior to FDN, I never took weight loss clients. That really wasn't my thing. I really focused on stroke and coma patients. But now I had all these tools that I never really had at my fingertips before. And this person came to me and he went to everybody and tried everything. And I ran the labs, and, we start, I'm sort of like Rita, hard ass. I tell them how much it's going to cost. I always give them a guarantee that no matter, you'll never see your money again, because if you do what I tell you, you will get results. That's my guarantee. He lost 105 pounds. He, just by walking around the street, when people would say, God, you look fantastic, what did you do? He would say, I went to see Dr. Al. And literally, he sent me in 1 year 35 clients.
Wow.
So it's a combination of results, social proof, and literally having the tools where you could say you are part of that family. And then last point, and then I'll get, and Jen touched on this, and that's really having a family to be. One of the challenges of being an alternative health coach or a health provider is we're sort of, in most cases, in your own world. You don't have anyone to ask questions to. You don't have anyone to consult with as a group. Most doctors, they work in a setting where there's other doctors. They could discuss their cases. FDN is the only group that I found that you get people who are experienced who really want to help you. Reed ran over 10,000 freaking lab tests on his own. You know how long it would take you to run 10,000 lab tests, put that information together, have that experience? You can't do it. So that's really part of how I view it. It's, not only I'm certified, which is important, but what comes along with that certification to me is the key ingredients of really what makes FDN what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah, it's such a good question, Rhonda. So thank you so much for that. And I have Ava, if it's Ava, I think is going to come up next. So we're going to try and bring you on. And then Carrie, I see your question on there too. So we want to get both of those. So Ava, let me see. I'm going to unmute you here. And you're on live with us. Can you hear us? Can you chat? Let's see. Ava, is she still there? Or Eva Nestor?
If Eva can't speak, that's okay. We can see your question, which is, do you have support to work with pediatric clients as well? Yes, of course we do. And she goes on, I am interested in working special needs and with current research for diet support, for bio-individual support. Yeah, absolutely. Kids respond quickly, even some of the worst cases. And, there are people that have what we call a true medical condition, but if they don't have a holistic grounding program in place, they're going to need more meds. They're going to go up and down on their meds. They're going to have relapses. They're going to have all kinds of, chasing symptoms and chasing the lab reports on any person, is maybe even especially kids, because they can't communicate as well, is a real vicious cycle of trial and error. And it's really frustrating for the parents. I mean, imagine the poor kid who's, in the middle, doesn't know what to think because they don't have enough experience in life to figure it out. And then the parents, and they were pulling their hair out. So we love working with children. I do. And again, I think they get the best results the quickest.
There's a pretty large portion of our community that's taken the course because their kids were having health problems and they had gone from health practitioner to health practitioner and couldn't figure it out. So they've gone through our course to fix their kids. And then through doing that, they've started to build their own businesses around it.
Yeah, and so I've had story after story of kids. Matter of fact, that's what impressed me a lot in the beginning. You know, Dr. Alice said it right. He goes, most people only tell you their successes. They don't tell you about their failures. Like, you know, we all know that Thomas Edison's famous for inventing the light bulb. What you don't know is it took him 9,999 failures to invent the light bulb. And so, you know, another great one, if you want a good one, is Babe Ruth, right? We all know that Babe Ruth hit, you know, 750 home runs. We also held the strikeout record. Who struck out the most of any baseball player ever? Babe Ruth, the best hitter of all time. So, you know, this didn't happen with every person. But again, I recognize patterns really well and noticed what worked. I made my own observations about what was working. And we had kids who had trouble, and I had had success with their moms. Remember, kids don't phone you up. It's their parents that bring them in. So if you're out there and you're helping parents, they're going to bring their kids to you. And they're a joy because, you know, they just pretty much do what you say, and then they get results. They don't argue as much.
Definitely. Good. So let's bring Carrie on next. So let's see if Carrie can come on with us so that we can answer her question. And Carrie, you're the personal trainer, so we definitely got some insights. Let me see. There you are. So I'm going to unmute you. Looks like, Carrie, you might need to unmute yourself. There we go. I can see you're on green. Can you chat?
I think I'm unmuted. Am I muted?
Yep, we can hear you perfectly. So why don't you tell the
Okay,
audience what your question is?
Oh, shoot, what was it? I had three, I think, that I was
Yeah, well, I
thinking
can, let me read it for you. You said that I'm looking
Yeah.
at your curriculum on the website, and it looks like a lot of training on labs and systems. Is this
Yeah.
better for someone who has previously done a nutrition course? I'm a personal trainer, and I've been through functional medicine myself and reversed rheumatoid arthritis. So first of all, congrats for doing
Thank
that.
you. My story
Yeah.
was kind of what you all were describing in the beginning. Like they took the labs and they said, oh, okay, it's your thyroid. And they treated my thyroid. And when that didn't work, they said, oh, okay, well, it's your adrenals. And they treated my adrenals and that didn't work. And they said, oh, let's check your hormones. So that was your story, what you guys were talking about at the beginning. That was my story.
Yep. Yeah, fantastic. So how you doing now?
I'm doing good. I'm pain-free. I'm actually getting recertified because throughout that whole medical issue, I had let my certification lapse. So I'm getting recertified as a personal trainer right now, and I'm getting ready to go back into the world of health. So
She has a
much
slight
better. Thank
memory
you.
problem.
Say again now.
What was that?
She has a slight memory problem. She couldn't remember her question.
Hey.
Well, because I toggled from the question screen to the
I'm teasing
screen
you.
where
I'm
I can see
teasing
your
you.
faces. I wanted to be able to look at you while I was talking to you.
Got it.
Yeah.
So
Carrie,
so what do you think?
Yeah, as somebody who's I was a personal trainer going through, and I did, get my degree in kinesiology, which was basic nutrition, fitness, and health. And you don't need to have taken courses or anything in doing that. In all of my practice with my clients, I have used pretty much zero of my knowledge of any nutrition course or anything like that I've ever taken. FDN really focuses more on the functional aspects of it, and Reed does such a great job in the course showing you how everything is connected and what you need to know. I think that one of the things that I really value about Reed's teaching style in there is sometimes the simplicity of it, because I see other courses or other people talking out there, and the language and the terminology they're using is so technical that, if you said that to your client, they're not going to understand it. And you might be able to relate to this in some way, having gone through your own health journeys, that when your doctor is giving you some random diagnosis or talking to you in like a different language, it's not helpful. And so Reed just has this way about delivering the information that we have all kind of taken on. And I think that's one of the things that our clients really appreciate when they work with us too, is sometimes just the simplicity that we bring to the table in a really complex situation of metabolic chaos that we talk about all the time.
That comes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That comes from working in the office for 10 years in front of people who are in pain or suffering, and they're looking at you with hopeful eyes, and you can't start throwing 6-syllable words at them. You have to speak in plain English so that they understand. So if I have another talent besides the systemizing and organizing, it's taking complex ideas and putting it into simple terms so that people can understand it. That's what I did. I was the patient educator. And so I avoid like heck 6-syllable words. I certainly can't spell any of them, so I try not to have to say them.
Yeah, I want to tell you my experience, because I think that's a great question that you asked. And when I refer someone to FDN, I tell them, especially if they're already a doctor or someone who's in the healthcare world, I always tell them the first thing I'm going to recommend you do when you sign up for the course, forget everything you think you know. Make yourself a blank slate, because what you bring to the course is going to inhibit your ability to really learn what you need to do. Because you know how we said in the beginning of the webinar the other day, people will come to you with symptoms and you're going to predict what's wrong. That is baggage that you're bringing to working with clients that doesn't help the client. So I always feel with FDN, the less you know, the greater of a practitioner you'll be when you're done with the course. The jerks I know think they know everything. It's hard to get them to, to learn new stuff.
Yeah, they already know everything.
I also had another question, actually two. I was in the process of writing when you all called on me.
Go for it.
So I was wondering what the format was. Are all the classes pre-recorded videos, since it's self-paced, I would assume, right?
Yeah.
Except for the interaction and stuff, it's mostly that. Like we have a guidebook that will keep you on track. It actually gives you a timeline. There's helpful tools along the way, but most of it's in the oral tradition. So obviously I like slides. I like to play with them. I like to find new pictures and new ways of saying things. And a lot of my slides have literally like hours and hours into one slide. And after 10 years, it's gone through 10 or 15 iterations. But the way I explain it is in the oral tradition. You will never, ever find me reading a script. And that's what I find so boring. And I mean, it just puts me to sleep, some of these other courses, because I can't even pay attention. The guy's obviously reading a script. And when you read a script, the first couple sentences, you're all enthusiastic, and then your tone goes down. And so I record the things, and then I listen to it, and I do go back and take out some ums and ahs, like or sneezes or something. I go back and I clean it up, but otherwise you're getting my original presentation. And I might just, every time I go over a slide, I might say it slightly differently, because I'm always looking for that way to get the point across. So you will not get bored. And we try to have some fun too.
Yeah.
Do you have a problem with profanity? I'm kidding.
Me?
No, no, sir.
Well, I don't drop any
I'm
F-bombs
kidding,
in the class, but I'll say what I gotta say. Yeah.
And the last question I had, if I can squeeze one more in out of you guys, what's the recertification process like? I know Reed touched on it just a little bit earlier. He mentioned it, but
yeah, every 2 years, I think you pay $99 or something every 2 years, and turn in your credits. Like, what have you done in 2 years? And it's a certain number of hours. It's not that hard to do. We don't have, and everyone's research. We have a very robust crew. Like I'm noticing every month, people are recertifying. They want to keep that status.
Yeah, Carrie, we have so many recertification, like continuing education opportunities. Like once you get through the main course of FDN, we have advanced training modules. So any time that you spend going through those, that counts towards your recertification. We have this year in 2018, we started our first annual conference. So that's something that's unique to kind of our community and our course also, is that we, have at least one time a year where all of our community gets together, and it's fascinating. I mean, I think we had 15 people from outside the US that came to see us this year, and just getting everybody in a room together. So my point is that going to that conference and going through those sessions counts towards your recertification hours and everything too. Like there's a ton of opportunity to do that. We make it real easy for you.
One of the things about the course, and then I'll let you go, is everything is done to really protect the practitioner, I would never go to join a course that did not have recertification, because then you have
Yeah.
people running around who claim they do what you do, who may not have been doing it for the last 8 years, and they become a reflection of you. So everything in this course, the decisions that are made about recertification, who's part of the program, who's not, are all based on not only making the course better, but making you better. That's a unique situation in this field, let me tell you.
Yeah. Great questions, Carrie. So, and on that
Thank you.
point, something to note here, we do have a special offer for you guys as part of the webinar series this week. And every year we go through the course and we make updates to it. So we make sure that the information is up to date based upon new research that's coming out, new lab testing that's coming out. We're constantly expanding the benefits available in our community in terms of the additional resources that we provide. Like I mentioned earlier, expanding the MDP program. Reed has a postgraduate interview with almost every single person who comes through the course. And so based on that feedback, I mean, that's pretty incredible that a founder has, first of all, has a postgraduate interview with every single person coming through the course. So based on that feedback is where we're making updates and improvements to the course. And so we actually recently increased the price of the course, but we have the special offer for you guys is that you guys, through Sunday, you guys can get the newest version of the course at the old price. And so up here on the screen, we have for you, if you guys are ready to, take your skill sets to the next level. If you want to help people on a deeper level, you can go to fdntraining.com. You can save $1,500 off the new price and get the new version of the course at the old price with the code final 1500 final 15. Reed, can you stay on that slide, please?
I'm trying. I'm on this laptop.
You were on there. So it's a final 1500. That's going to be available for you guys through Sunday. And we feel really confident that all of you on the line are here for a reason. We know that all of you are probably in search of what the next thing is, and FDN is probably the last thing that you'll ever need. People always ask me about what other courses have you taken, and FDN is basically it. I've been an FDN for 6 years, and I've never seen a need to really take any other, certification courses. It's provided me with absolutely everything, and maybe little, things here and there, but nothing, big. I've never needed anything big after FDN. So I want to give everybody, our panel here, an opportunity to say any closing remarks or share things with our audience today as we start to close out here. And, we just strongly encourage you guys, like we want more people to be a part of our community, because we know that the state of our population, like with the direction that health is moving in and the epidemics that are coming up, we need more FDNs to be able to help all the people in the world that are suffering right now. So we want you to be a part of it. So Amanda, I'm going to start with you for any closing remarks that you might want to give to our community or to our people on the line with us.
So I would just say that, like, it is an investment, and it definitely was for me, but it's for so much longer than just the duration of the program. Like, there really is a community, there really are resources. There's no like prerequisites to this, because you will have continuous support. And I think that's probably the biggest thing to remember. And that's one of the reasons, I get a lot of people that reach out to me that are like, should I go become an RD? Like, what should I do? And I mentioned this program to pretty much everyone, because most of the time the capacity, the way that you want to work with someone, you just can't. This is really like a very unique way to do it compared to everything else out there. So if you're worried about not having enough experience or training prior to taking it, I really wouldn't worry about that, and know that you will have a lot of resources at your fingertips as long as you're willing to take advantage once you finish the program.
Awesome. Brendan, how about you? What are your last words that you want to leave them with today?
Oh man, it's just hard for me to not just go on and on. But no, really, it's just, this is amazing stuff. I'm a very authentic human, anybody that knows me, and I just kind of bleed passion. And unless I'm wildly passionate, I don't do it. And I've really made this my whole world, because you can help people in a lot of ways. You can help their psychology, their fitness, whatever. Take hundreds of people through thousands of workouts. But, you know, if you really want to be the person that is able to bring hope to the hopeless, and, you know, I work with a lot of really complicated clients that have been through doctor after doctor, whether functional, medical, naturopathic, whatever. And then, you know, a 26-year-old, which guys, I don't even have a college degree. And I am proud to say that now, because I fix people that most doctors can't. And it's because of the power of this methodology. So drop the mic moment, boom.
I like to say that as FDNs, we're in the business of making the impossible possible. It's what we do. So, Dr. Al, what are your final comments for our listeners?
My final comments are, excuse me, that, you know, every day you have to wake up, and I said this on the webinar, and look in the mirror. And with what I learned with FDN and continue to learn, and what you would learn in FDN, gives you the ability to know that you are giving the best that you have to give to a client. And if you don't take the course, the next person that walks in your door, if you can't help them, you're going to have to live with yourself and say that I didn't make this investment in really people, because that's what your investment is. I hesitated to make an investment, and maybe I could have changed that person's life. And for me, I can't live with myself if that's the case. I need to know I've given it all I got and give that person everything they deserve. And I don't know of anything else that'll give you that opportunity. So I think if you're here and you're listening and you don't sign up for this course right now, especially at this ridiculous price, you have to really sit down and say to yourself, do I really want to be in the business of helping people get better? Because if that answer is I do, then you don't really have much of a choice.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Dr. Al. It's so true, so very true. And Reed, we save the best for last, as we say our
Well,
farewell.
again, I am unashamedly recruiting new people to join the mission. And that's my purpose, to help as many people as possible, to educate them how to get well and stay well, so that naturally, so that they can in turn educate others. So I'm recruiting. That's why I'm here. And so we give people the training, the skills, the access to the labs, of course, so that they can actually help people and get real results and build their businesses doing something they love to do. So you can transform yourself from wherever you are into being really happy in a business that makes other people happy.
Definitely. Great. Well, thank you everybody for being with us. Again, the discount's going to be available for you through Sunday. We will be sending out an email tomorrow with the replays of the webinar. So if you missed anything from Tuesday's webinar that we did, or maybe jumped on late with us today or had to jump off early, you'll be getting those replays tomorrow, and really do some thinking this weekend about what do you want in 2019? What do you want the future of your career to look like, your health to look like, and seriously give this some consideration, because this is a great opportunity to jump in and take the next step and really propel yourself into the new year. So have a great evening, everybody. Happy holidays, and hopefully we'll see you in our community soon.
Thank you. See you guys. Bye. And thanks, crew. Good job.
Bye.